Good evening and a very warm welcome. As our guest this evening, we have with us Ms Merin Joseph, who is an IPS officer of 2013 batch. My first question to you, ma'am. Given that most of our audience comprise of young students and lawyers, how would you like to introduce yourself to them?
I would introduce myself as a practical practitioner of the law. I'm in a profession where, though I'm not a lawyer by training or by profession, I use the law almost on a daily basis. In fact, it forms the backbone of my profession, and well, you can almost say that it is my bread and butter, just like that of a lawyer. So I am an IPS officer of the 2013 batch, and I am a postgraduate in history from St. Stephen's College, Delhi University. And I entered the IPS after giving the civil service exam in 2013, and I was fortunate enough to make it in my first attempt. I'm allotted to the Kerala cadre, and I'm presently posted as Assistant Superintendent of Police in Munnar.
When and how did you decide to go for the civil service examination? What motivated you to appear for this examination?
Very honestly speaking, the dream to join the civil service was something that was stored in my mind very early, right from my childhood days. And it was when I was in class 6 or so that I first saw myself as a civil servant, and the dream started there. Of course, the journey was very long, and I cleared the exam only when I was in the final year of my master's. But this was something that I had cherished and dreamt about for more than a decade of my life. The motivation to join the services, I would say, came largely from my father, who's also a civil servant. And he was the one who actually introduced this as a career option to me. And growing up in a family which had a government sector background, I knew what the job of a civil servant is. So that also attracted me, because there are some inherent benefits or inherent advantages that are built into a government job. So I was exposed to that very early in my life. And apart from that, my parents also gave me a lot of interviews of civil service toppers to read by way of magazines and other such things. And reading those really motivated me, because I thought that if these youngsters can do it, then definitely I would like to see myself also in that position a couple of years down the line.
Lakhs of people attempt the civil service examination, but only a few hundred are selected. What are the prime skills and expertise required to crack this examination?
Yes, the success ratio is extremely, I would say, limited or tough. So the basic skills that you require are, of course, the ability to work very hard. You need to work very hard, but it's not about just slogging without a direction or a purpose. The ability to work smart, the ability to know exactly what the requirement of the exam is, and to be able to pour your effort in that direction. That is, I think, the single most important thing that will determine your success or failure in this exam. Apart from that, one requires good analytical skills. One requires the ability to stay calm and cool, because the exam is structured in such a manner that it really pushes you to your limit, and it's constantly testing your ability to stay focused and your ability to put in your best when you're under a lot of pressure. So the ability to stay calm and focused and composed even when you're in a pressure cooker sort of a situation is what I think ultimately determines your success in this exam.
How would you describe your training period at National Police Academy in Hyderabad? Please share some memorable moments of your training program with our audience.
The training period now, in hindsight particularly, I realize was a very, very significant and very interesting period of my life. Probably the most interesting experience that I've had so far, if I put all the experiences of my life together. It was of a duration of 11 months, and it was definitely very, very memorable, because I picked up so many skills that I had no exposure to before I joined the academy. For example, I learned how to swim, I learned how to jump into the deep end of a swimming pool from a 10-meter diving board. I learned how to do horse riding, and those moments are really etched in my memory. I mean, that first time when I galloped on a horse, the first time I jumped over an obstacle on horseback. There was another incident where which I wouldn't describe as very pleasant, but it was definitely unforgettable. We are given training in different sort of shells and grenades, and once during a session, one of the tear gas grenades actually exploded in my hand. So I was in hospital for a couple of days after that, because I suffered some minor burns. But it could have been a much more serious injury, but I think thanks to God's grace I escaped any major injury. So that was definitely a very, very unforgettable part of my incident that happened during my training. Apart from that, there was a 40-kilometer route march that we had to cover in a limited period of time. And that was, I think, the day when I was really pushed to the breaking point, and being able to successfully complete that was, I think, the best sense of accomplishment that I felt throughout the entire training.
Last but not the least, what would be your message to law students and lawyers who aspire to become civil servants?
I think the world out there is full of opportunities, and lawyers and law students also have immense opportunities in their own field. However, I would still exhort them to consider the civil service as a career option, because there is no other profession in the present day and age which gives youngsters such a platform to reach out to so many people and touch the lives of so many people at such a young age, right from your very first posting onwards. Of course, the job may not have the remuneration that a law student would get if he joins a law firm. However, there are many other factors which make the job extremely compelling and extremely attractive to a youngster. And citing from my own the example from my own batch, I have as batchmates students who have graduated from the best law schools in India, who have even gone abroad and worked for law firms there for a couple of years, and who have still come back and who have joined the civil service, and who unequivocally maintain that it was the best decision of their lives to actually come back and join the civil service. So that is the sort of satisfaction, and that is the sort of reach that this job gives you, which no other, I think, profession in contemporary India offers.
Thank you very much, ma'am.
Thank you so much.